So next I want to do one of the single stroke variations. Now really all it is a group of single strokes with a specific rhythm that it's usually played with. But if you already have your single strokes together, then that definitely helps, of course, with this rudiment. So this is the single stroke 4, would be probably the more modern name for it. I usually call it the 4-stroke rough, which sometimes you'll hear people call it that also. There's kind of a lot of confusion with the naming of this one, because sometimes people will also call drag a rough, but people will also call this rudiment, which is 4 single strokes, or with the left hand, the 4-stroke rough, or sometimes just a rough even. So maybe single stroke 4 is like the most kind of true and concise name, so we'll call it that for now. So yeah, all it is, just like I played before, it's 2 groups of 2 single stroke notes. Now, the kind of traditional rhythm to play it is like 3 16th note triplet notes, and then an 8th note, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So with that rhythm, your first stroke would fall on the downbeat, and then your last stroke of each group, this one, would fall on the and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Leading with the left hand, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now, there's a lot of common variations on how to play this rudiment, and a lot of them tend to be really applicable to drum set. This is like one of the most commonly applied rudiments on drum set, I would say. It almost has like a textural effect because you tend to hear it played like really fast, like this, for example. Like in jazz, you'll hear that a lot, and in classic rock too. That's a really common thing to play. Or it's almost like a miniature buzz, but it really is 4 individual notes. So anyway, in terms of variations for playing it, besides just the right and left hand lead, and we also have accenting none of the notes. This is right hand lead, repeating, accenting no notes, accenting the first note. That's right hand lead, repeating, accenting the first note, accenting the last note. Right hand lead, accenting the last note. You get a left hand accent, and accenting the first and last note. And when you get that, when you do that, you get kind of like a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Like that. And of course you can do all those with the left too. Like this. And then you can also alternate or not alternate this rudiment, and both of them can be pretty usable and applicable. So non-alternating is kind of the natural, traditional way to do it, so that's what we've already done. That's non-alternating, no accent. But here's alternating, no accent. Slower. And then you can do the same thing with the accents with that. So like, for example, accent on the first note of each group. The last note. And both. Like this. And you could even, when you have 2 of them and you're alternating, then really you actually have 4 of those possible accent positions because it almost becomes like a pattern that's twice as long. So if you wanted to, you could even do stuff like, okay, maybe I'm going to accent the first note of the first 4-stroke rough, and then both of the second one. Like, I haven't practiced that specific variation, but like this, it would come out. So anyway, you could mess around with those and come up with all sorts of combinations. And then typically you'll hear those both kind of on the beat like I was just doing, so like 1, 2, 3, 4, but it's also really common, especially on drum set, to hear that kind of happening off the beat. So like as a pickup into a downbeat maybe, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Especially this version with the accent on the end. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like this, or like this. So you could practice, again, all those variations on it with the last note falling on the beat and the first note falling off the beat. So it's the same idea, just backwards rhythmically. And that will give you plenty to work on with 4-stroke rough. Typically, I find most people find kind of like the variations that they prefer, maybe like 2 or 3 of them, and then they'll stick to those. Like for myself, I typically use this one with the left hand accent, non-alternating last note accent. Which I got, I'm sure people played it before it, but I kind of got it from Mitch Mitchell, who plays that all the time. So that's the one that I play the most, but you'll see other people who might do different versions of it a lot. So I would experiment with them, try them out. It's good for your control to practice all the different ways anyway, and figure out which ones you like best. But that's the 4-stroke rough, or single stroke 4. Maybe more proper name.